Hi all! So a while ago on YouTube, I stumbled down a wormhole of small kitchen appliance reviews. As I was looking to buy an air fryer and perhaps maybe a pressure cooker, that's when I stumbled across one of the worst YouTube chefs of all time. His name is Jack Scalfani, as I like to call him. Jack Salmonella Scalfani. I watch video after video of him butcher, sometimes quite literally, recipes. Imagine driving slowly past a multi-car pileup on the interstate. That's my face as I watched him teach the internet how to make partially cooked meals of varying types and taking awful and unneeded shortcuts to recipes that are already quick to prepare. The absolute horror of Jack's lazy man chefing, air quote, techniques to my boyfriend Tom. And now, since we can't unsee it, we are opening your eyes to it as well. I'm Michelle, and I welcome you to join us for this horrific journey, better known as Pink Chicken and the Lazy Man. Welcome back to Pink Chicken and the Lazy Man.
Pink Chicken and the Lazy Man. That's right, folks. We are back for another episode of Season 5 of Pink Chicken and the Lazy Man. With us tonight in studio is our very special guest, the Pink Chickadee. Say hi, Pink Chickadee.
Hello. We are joining you today on Tuesday, April 4th.
Yeah, look at her phone for that.
2023. I do not know what day it is. I haven't left the house in probably a week.
So if you do. It's not a COVID quarantine. We're just bored.
Yeah. I think the last episode where we left this off was we were talking about Jack's excessive sodium intake from the smothered wings.
Yes,
turkey
the
wings.
Monster wings.
Oh, the monster wings.
Remember the
That's
kaiju
right.
wings?
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder if those had an effect on his health at all.
Spoiler alert. If you're just joining us and you haven't been following, if you haven't been following the story,
the medical saga,
the saga that's been going on.
Yes.
Jack has been in the hospital and a nursing home since January 26th, I believe.
Yes.
Which is around the time when we recorded the last podcast.
In fact, as of this writing or recording, he is being released today to go back to his house.
His house is up for sale. The Cooking with Jack set and studio and abode. It's for sale right now. It's on the market for, I think, $585,000.
According to his socials, he's 67 days in both hospital and nursing home.
And his house has been on the market about 30 of days.
Yes.
So he's coming home. We don't know exactly what happened. It sounded like from some of the comments we were able to discern he had a blood clot, which caused another stroke, possibly a heart attack, possibly both. He's unable to stand or walk. He's confined to a wheelchair, so that's why he's been in the nursing home.
Some little blood vessel obstruction took a world tour of Jack's circulatory system.
Because he's recorded a couple videos from once he recovered from the nursing home about videos and movies and other stuff that he's watched.
She's doing quote bunnies that recovered. He's obviously suffered more damage.
Yeah, no, basically the reason he's leaving the nursing home, not to get off too track here, but his insurance ran out and they're not covering anything else. So he has no choice but to leave or pay out of pocket for the services.
He's a medical hobo.
Right. So he's going back home without the use of, obviously, his arm, because that wasn't working before the stroke or the heart attack or whatever we're at here.
Straight into the bosom of mommy wife's skin ender.
He can't stand or can't walk. So he's confined to a wheelchair, which mommy wife Tim has to push him around because it's not, I don't believe it's a motorized wheelchair.
It's not clear if he's physically confined to the wheelchair or if he just likes it now. That's how he lives now.
No, it sounded like he could stand for short periods of time, but he couldn't walk. So he's going to work on that as a recovery, I guess, point to work on it when he gets home. But it's like, shouldn't you have been working the whole time you were in the hospital and also the nursing home with that? But
typically you go into a nursing facility like that to do intensive physical therapy.
Right.
One of the old saws of the stroke game that I know from my family members, just reading up on it online, is that, those critical couple of days after you recover from it, you want to immediately start bombarding the neural pathways with all sorts of reminders of, oh, don't go away, neural pathways. This is how my legs work. This is how my speech center works. So he should have been getting a combination of physical and occupational therapy literally almost the minute that they take the IVs out. It doesn't seem like that happened. It seems like he was just in a nursing home to rest up, which is kind of what got him there in the first place. But at least he was able to catch up on his South Park viewing.
So his one eye, I believe on the same side that he has the disabled arm, is not fully able to open. So it's like he's lost some functionality of his control of his eyes.
You can definitely see there's mechanical damage there. It's not clear how much vision he has remaining.
Obviously the insurance ran out. Is he just sitting there wasting away like you say he probably is, and that's what got him there in the first place? Or did he just exhaust all of the money for, I'm assuming, Tammy's insurance? Because he doesn't work. He doesn't get any, I don't think, benefits from YouTube. You know?
Spousal benefits. To me, it seemed like he got released from the hospital a little quickly for a guy who, maybe this particular stroke wasn't as bad as his previous 3 or 4 or other ischemic traumas he'd suffered, but in the aggregate, you would think that having the amount of damage he had done this time would have bought him not only time in the intensive care unit, as it bought him several days, but also, again, to go into some kind of aggressive rehab or therapy. And we don't know. Maybe they were pushing towards that, and he's like, no, my Lord will save me.
Yeah, that's what he did last stroke. He also leaned on Dr. Chastity Glove a lot for various devices. He had the brace for his arm, but he also had some kind of like arm bike, and he had,
which he didn't use,
some kind of mirror thing that's supposed to like trick your brain into
rebuilding the neural pathways to make the hand work.
And he had a couple of those devices from Dr. Chastity Glove, who went on the Barbecue Wars tour.
I know he had some kind of electrotherapy device for it as well, some kind of stim rig for the hand.
He doesn't want to put in the work. Like he just wants it. He just wants to pray it away, and that's not how it works.
Right. But don't forget, he's the magic special boy.
So I mean, that's where we stand right now. Lord only knows where we're going to end up. But you know, the second that Tammy goes back to work, he's going to be eating himself to death again.
Right.
Sitting on his ass doing nothing and trying to do the cooking show still. He promised that we were supposed to be getting a
F is in Frank podcast,
yes,
to explain what happened to him. That has not come out yet. But again, he's been sitting in a nursing home bed.
Yeah.
Mostly spurging about how shitty the food is at the place Again, Jack is food focused.
He's doxed himself a couple of times with the location that he's at. You would think, based on other events that have happened in his life, that he'd want to keep kind of a lower profile for this medical incident with the fans he has online. Nope. He was taking pictures, photos out the window. People figured out where he was at the hospital. They figured out what hospital he was in. And he blatantly tagged the staff of the nursing home facility that he was in.
As he was shitposting about their poor care and
exactly.
food.
He was shitposting because he didn't get breakfast meat that morning and he didn't get enough eggs. So he didn't
get enough food. He ate himself into a nursing home in his late 50s. He ate himself into his condition, and he's still complaining about not getting the quantity of food he thinks he requires.
Right.
And hasn't had a moment, not a speck of self-reflection, not a moment of self-actualization. At no time was he lying there in the bed with tubes coming out of him, and again,
intubated.
Pooping into a pan, peeing into a bottle, getting bags of fluid shoved in his arms, and at no point did he have a satori, a moment of clarity, looking up at the acoustic ceiling of the hospital going, well, Jackie, how'd we get here? It's not like he got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
It's not like he got attacked by a shark while he was water skiing or exploring the Great Reef. This was because of Arby's.
And the turkey wings.
Right. And the insistence upon doubling the recipe. Even when doubling the recipe he went from a week's worth of sodium in one meal to 2 weeks.
I don't know where we're going to go from here. I don't know if we're ever going to see another Jack video.
And the worst part was he forced Pink Chickadee to do math.
Yeah.
To calculate all that sodium. She had the abacus out. She had her shoes off, counting on her toes. Yep. It was horrible, guys. It was horrible.
I don't know if we're going to see any more Cooking with Jack videos. I think the best shot at it would be once Tammy goes back to work. Or if that's too much of a hassle, I don't know if he's going to have a live-in nurse. I would assume that they don't have the money for that right now, or the insurance would cover it. Maybe just this will exist as either his podcast, because it's very easy to just turn on a microphone and start talking.
That's right. Any pair of dimwits can turn on a microphone and prepare a podcast.
Hey! or the Jack on the Go show, because that doesn't require much effort.
Yeah, he films it with his phone.
He's sitting anyway to eat whatever's put in front of his face. So really, he could continue doing that, at the bare minimum. So we don't know where it's going to go from here, but it'll be interesting over the next course of how long does it take him to edit a video? Like a week, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
We'll see where we're at here in 2 weeks.
Now that he's home in front of his little editing workstation next to the freeze dryer that's not getting any use.
Yeah.
In sight of the tower garden that's probably collecting dust right now. There's probably a family opossum living in it by now.
Hope that's skeleton and bones over in the corner, because no one's seen or heard from her since.
Right.
But yes, and the other thing too is if you go through the listing for his house, you will see the set is completely dismantled. So Tammy was working really hard when he was in the nursing home. Take down all of the shit. Piggy, or the signs. Ninja Piggy, the signs.
The Cheez-Its. The blessed Cheez-Its are
cooking
gone.
Books. Everything.
The Cheez-Its are a memory.
But basically, the set's dismantled at this point, and presumably in storage or possibly the garage hoard.
I feel like she kind of eagerly took down the set, because I think she's done. Yeah, she's done.
She's done with it.
She's done.
I don't think we're going to see even her. You know how she was helping him for a while during COVID, be his sous chef,
little producer, and cut up the veggies.
Yeah, I don't think we're even going to see that. I think she's really done with it this time.
I think right now we're angling towards maybe a little domestic help, maybe a little sponge bather / cooking assistant.
Yeah, she's going to run out of patience really quick if she hasn't.
What I'm saying, guys, is watch the socials, because there might be, if you have said, I want to work in YouTube, I want to work in something that could in one way or another be considered television, with a guy who one way or another almost had a consideration by the Food Network, who almost had a McConaughey as a business partner. If your dream is to change a colostomy bag and make crappy food within wafting distance of the diaper pail, this is your opportunity. Come be a part of the Cooking with Jack team. Paging Robert.
That could be having Robert do it.
I think, yeah.
They're bros.
The only way out of this I see is if we started having more episodes of Cooking Near Jack. Maybe that was something of it, because remember the couple of the few episodes that we saw preceding the sodium Chernobyl, as we're calling it. Like those episodes, Robert was doing more and more. Mm-hmm. Remember, they were playing with their meat and seasoning each other's meat.
And rubbing their meats.
Right.
Yeah. Grilling, smoking
patting
the meat.
It,
yeah.
Inserting a probe in the meat.
Oh my God.
You're welcome.
Oh, geez.
But Robert was doing more and more tasks for Jack.
Yeah.
Do you think Jack was feeling a little bit under the weather?
It wasn't very clear. I have to calm down. I have to be calmer. And I thought that was going to be the wake-up call. Maybe I should stay off social media since it gets me so worked up all the time. Mm-hmm. But apparently that never happened.
Right.
And that combined with Jack's already, numerous health ailments, plus the sodium Chernobyl, has morphed into the perfect storm of blood clot land and stroke, number 3 or 4 or 6, whatever one we're on now. I mean...
Are you saying you think he took a stroke taking a strike?
Possibly.
He was giving out a strike and took a stroke?
I can't wait, honestly. I mean, if you've been following our live streams, which are Saturday at 2 p.m. usually, except for the placement of this one because we'll be away that weekend, Lazy Man has been working very hard on AI, little clips.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him.
Little clips of Jack, and I cannot wait until he sees it for the first time, if he hasn't already. He will he will pitch a fit, I believe, and we'll probably get another copyright strike.
Eerily proficient in both voice cloning and face cloning tools. Shout out to 11 Lab. Yeah, we can basically do our own Cooking with Jack episodes at this point. We can mimic his face talking. We can change the background with my knowledge of nonlinear editing software.
And
we can pretty much make our own fun. We were kind of, if you saw 2 seasons ago, we were talking about doing Cooking with Cartman or doing a South Park tuned out version of Jack, tuning out Jack. We were on our way to this, and now the road has risen to meet us. Technology has fallen into our lap.
Jack, and if you've been following Jack's social media in addition, he's been yelling about, he should be really relaxing and taking the time to recover. No, he's on social media every day doom scrolling and commenting and yelling about, and basically anything you can possibly imagine. But one of the things that
like
really...
a girthy bikini-clad practitioner of exotic choreography, just right into our lap.
Wow. So he's been yelling especially about ChatGPT and all of the AI tools that are out there. I think it's mostly because he doesn't understand how they work, and a little bit of, Jack's a tinfoil hat wearer, so all of the conspiracy theories that go along with that.
Well, again, Jack experiences his world, not unlike the Plato metaphor of the cave. Jack experiences his world through the light of the phone, casting shadows on the cave around him. That's how Jack interprets the world. Jack has no independent body of knowledge or research. You could tell because anybody who gets all of their media through third-party sources that they don't analyze or have the capacity
or read at all.
Right. Or independently verify services. You can tell people who don't independently verify their media choices when they tell you need to do your own research, because they don't.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our little tirade before getting into this episode. Now we're gonna pick it up
18 minutes later.
We're gonna pick it up with Julia and June, or Julie and June.
Come back with us to that magical time of mid-year 2022. We were all emerging from our COVID dens. The world was being cleansed. We were we were on our way to the midterm elections.
Jack was getting struck by a PBS station on
Yes.
YouTube. It was a great time to be alive. So this is
the most generous, benevolent source of media was basically telling Jack to go fuck himself.
Yeah. So this is Julia's coq au vin recipe.
Yes.
And it's one I actually believe that Jack gets right, only because it's very hard to screw up stew. It's very forgiving. I mean, as long as you don't put a sodium bomb in it.
Right.
You'll have an easy time with it, because basically it's slow cooking.
Right.
So everything basically stews in its own broth and juices and everything like that. You can't really screw it up.
And I feel like this was at the time, remember that time, we'll take it back to mid-year 2022, when the air seemed pregnant with promise. Jack was like, guys, we have so much stuff coming. We're going to do the freeze dryer thing. We're going to send the special gentleman his freeze-dried turkey meal. We're going to do Julia and June. We're going to do freeze-dried September. We're going to do Comfort Dudes Month.
Yeah, Comfort Dudes Month, yeah.
Yeah, Jack had a whole series of programming.
And all the new merch he was going to do, and all the slides and the bucket hats and the shirts that got copyright struck for the cease and desist letter that I should say.
Yes, Bitmoji.
Bitmoji, yeah, from Snap Inc.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, there's some techniques that are a little fucky here, but
at this time, Jack is speeding down the highway. Him and mommy wife are watching Julia on HBO. He's doing videos. He's doing Julia Child's videos in the kitchen. He's making as big of an effort as he possibly can, even as infirmed as he was at that point. And you can see the car. This is that last little moment where he thinks he's gonna be able to pull the car out of its spin. He starts turning the wheel, and he's like, I think everything's gonna be okay. Just as the headlights of the truck appear around the...
Okay, so this video was recorded 9 months ago.
Yes.
And it has 4,400 views, which is very anemic, considering some of the view counts.
And also considering this is a Jack chicken dish. Remember the Cronenberg trilogy? This is for you could tell Jack didn't screw this up or turn this into a horror show by the low view count.
Yeah. No, people tune in for the train wreck. Like when people watch NASCAR for the crashes, essentially. Right. That's why and how people find the Cooking with Jack show.
Yes. He's the Ricky Rudd of cooking.
Yes. So yeah, this starts out a little screwy because he starts talking about Birmani, and I was trying to look it up based on the way that he pronounced it.
Yeah, he says Birmani, kind of like he's riffing off of biryani.
Biryani, right?
The hot, tasty Indian dish that we all love.
Right. We should probably count the good folks down.
He says Birmani within first minute, and then switches up to Birmani later on.
Yes, even the Pink Chickadee was confused. We're all confused. So why don't we jump into the video, folks? As Pink Chicken said, this video was released about 9 months ago. It's got about 4,500 hits on it. This is Julia Child coq au vin by Cooking with Jack.
So we're back to the ducking and dodging. What?
We have a bit.
Oh, right.
We do a bit.
Oh, yeah.
See, this is what happens when you let the woman hold the remote control. Am I right, fellas? Yeah. All right, folks out there in TV land, synchronize your tubulators. We are hitting play in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're back in the cooking with Jack kitchen, ducking and dodging the words as they're flying in from the left.
Right.
With the barking dog noise in the background,
The
and the
Joker
blank
dance
stare into nothing.
Right.
You get the Julie and June graphic, and then we're back into
Look at all the IP theft in one graphic.
I know, right?
He ripped off Bitmoji, he ripped off PBS.
See, now he's wearing a shirt that's not got his face on it, so this must have been after they sent him a cease and desist letter.
Of all the Christian rock bands Jack could possibly be attracted to, what shirt does he wear? Is he wearing Striper? Is he wearing Jars of Clay? No. What shirt is Jack wearing? Skillet. Very food focused.
Yes.
So he mentions Coco Vaughn is like Coca-Cola in a van or whatever, and it's like not even close to what half the rest.
Right.
Yeah, because he doesn't. First of all, he doesn't know how to pronounce it, and so he's like, "It's like Coco in a van, like Coca-Cola in a van."
You're gonna be drinking your Coca-Cola in a van down by the river.
But
Surprise, Mike Lindell.
It's chicken in wine. It's braised in wine. It's like a stew. He mentions it being the next hardest dish to beef bourguignon, which was
Chicken, burgundy.
which was another one of his dishes that he tried to make and screwed up pretty badly early on in the Cooking with Jack series.
Yes.
When he was still in California.
If you asked Jack, the beef bourguignon was his idea of his worst episode.
Yes. So he's going on about the biryani, or beer manny, as he said. But
we looked it up.
We looked it up. Does somebody want to take a stab at the correct pronunciation? Because I
We
know
looked at Pink Chickadee.
I think it's Birmani, but even the subtitles mess it up like Birmani.
Yeah, because they don't know. The subtitles has no idea what he's trying to say.
So, much like the white butter sauce of the French cuisine world of beurre blanc, this is beurre mani. So, beurre meaning butter, and mani meaning kneaded with your hand. The manos is the Latin derivative of hand. So, you knead the butter and flour together with your hand, rather than a roux, which,
A roux, I looked it up. The difference between say it again? Birmani and the roux is cooked, and the Birmani is not. So that's the difference. But it's the same ingredients go in both.
Look, we don't stand on formality here. From this point on in the video, if you hear us say beer money, this is what we're talking about. French kneaded butter.
Yeah. So he's got chicken pieces. He's got some herbs. He's got some kind of wine, which I can't see because it's not facing camera.
Right.
He's got chicken broth, onions, garlic, which looks new, mushroom, tomato sauce. I can't see what else is back there.
It looks like a barefoot red.
It says to use burgundy, so I don't know if that's what he picked here or not. But
it looks like a blended red.
Yeah.
If you don't know what wine to get, you're like, I gotta get a red wine. I don't know what these fancy French terms are. Oh, this one says red.
Yeah. So he's putting all of the chicken pieces now into one of the bowls that he had, like the plastic bowls he had from the California kitchen.
And much like Jesus, he's anointing it in wine.
Yeah, he's put it looks like the entire bottle in there.
I was adding some water.
2 cups of chicken broth. I can't tell what, brandy is the other thing.
Yes.
He put brandy in with it as well. I guess it's supposed to marinate in this concoction here for a little while. He says he marinated it 2 hours when we get to the next scene.
Jack never lets food sit out for that long.
But basically,
I'm guessing 20 minutes.
It's supposed to work at the connective tissue and make it really tender, braising it a little before it even goes into the pan for the long braise.
Right. He reminds you to hold on to that liquid, too.
Now, the next scene is we're going over to the stove where he has one of his rock pans on. And he's got the
Rock Johnson pan.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson pan. Where he's going to put in already cooked bacon. Why is it already cooked? I don't know. The recipe states that you want to put in lardon, which is cut up bacon.
You want to render fresh bacon, get the fat out of it. You're not adding bacon to the dish. You're after the hot bacon grease.
Right. You want the grease.
If he's already cooked it, and that means some of the grease has already been left out, because when you cook bacon, you put it on a pie plate with some paper toweling on it.
Yeah, so you can drain off the excess grease.
So the grease is already being drained off. So frying up this, all he's going to do is turn this into crispy black powder.
And if you look at the next scene, that's exactly what happens. If you look at the yellow bowl in the middle of the frame there,
yes,
the bacon looks desiccated. And what it's rendered
it's
when
got two Arakan sandworms of bacon hanging at the top of it.
So if you look at the amount of grease it rendered, it was next to nothing. Now, interestingly, sitting right next to the bacon, which could have been used in a pinch, is a tub of bacon up. So he literally could have just took like 2 scoops of that and just, rendered it into the pan.
Yes, if Jack could be said to have a legacy, it's introducing us all to this product known as Bacon Up, which is re-rendered, strained, cleaned bacon grease.
Yeah, it looks like Crisco when you open the tub.
You know how your grandmammy or grandpappy had a little coffee can underneath the stove full of all the bacon drippings? This is kind of like the Cool Whip version of that. It's sterilized, it's sanitized.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
He probably eats it by the spoonful out of there.
Well, we've seen him literally eat mayonnaise, and we know how much that's warped Junior.
Yes.
The infamous ping pong video.
So basically what he's doing now is, it's been apparently 2 hours later. And so now these pieces of chicken are getting dried off in a paper towel, and they're going to go into the rock pan, which he has cranked, which is actually good in this case, because you really want to crisp up the skin, get it nice and crispy. It's not going to cook the chicken all the way through. That's what the braising part is for, but...
Yeah, have some chicken fat render and commingle with the bacon fat.
In the one instance where the pan being nuclear works for him, it's this one, because he actually gets the chicken looking like it should, and the braise is very forgiving, so it's not going to end up being pink, except for the liquid, because the liquid's pink, but you know, it's not, the chicken is actually probably going to get cooked all the way through, which rarely happens in this kitchen. He's adding piece by piece. He's really struggling too, because he's, you know, one-armed here. The camera angles are kind of fucky in this, because he's like coming in from like a side angle, but he's putting stuff in front of the camera, so you can't really see what's going on in the pan.
Well, Mommy Wife doesn't seem to be present for this one, so he's having to angle all of this stuff himself. He has to wrangle the camera, he has to wrangle the pans and the ingredients.
Yeah, he's out of breath in this a couple times.
Well, he gets out of breath when he turns around.
True. So the chicken is rendering, and he's got a little bit of grease left in the pan. I think, because you have to take it out the chicken and put it back in a couple of times.
Right.
Next, I think the vegetables are going in, which he's doing onions and carrots, I think, and then mushrooms later on.
Now he's just playing with the grease in the pan.
I think he wants to drink it. Okay, so he threw in the onions. Now, really, what I would do at this point
Ladies and gentlemen, even though they're still kind of chunky, you are looking at the best size of chopped onions Jack has done in more than a decade and a half. He must really be intimidated by this recipe, because he's making it look like the picture.
Balls to the wall here. What I would have done differently in this case, I think I would have put the carrots first because they're chunkier.
Right. And
the onions in toward the end, because it looks like the onions are starting to burn almost a little bit here, but
thankfully the gummy garlic still makes an appearance.
Still better than most of his other videos, surprisingly.
Oh, yeah. Go back to his earliest days of the French onion soup, or some of his other god-awful roast videos, where he basically just cut the onion in half.
Yeah.
And had a bowl full of them.
Yeah. And so then he puts in the tomato paste, which is correct as far as I'm aware, because you wanna get that rawness cooked off of it.
Unless you eat it like applesauce out of a can, like some little Italian boys.
Yes, that does happen around here. But so he's
taste sensation.
I don't know how long this is. You can't see the elapsed view because he's zoomed in so close to that pan. You can't see the time on the stove.
He's dumping back in the Jesus juice.
Yep. Now the chicken's going back in, and like I said, it's not done.
At this point, he's now on autopilot.
It's not done, obviously, but it's going to cook the rest of the way in the braising.
Right.
The other thing I would probably suggest, I'd rather do this in probably a Dutch oven, just because you have higher walls on it. He says, let it simmer for 20 minutes. Okay, so 20 minutes is up.
This recipe has lots of training wheels, lots of guide rails for Jack. He says, oh, it's a high simmer. No, Jack, that's a rolling boil. And if he's been doing that for 20 minutes, it's just there's a volume of liquid, there's not that much material in the bowl, and he did put a lid on it, so he did manage to keep in a lot of the moisture. So for 20 minutes of Jack's incinerate the fuck out of everything high simmer, it actually didn't come out that badly.
Yeah, so he put some random white shit in, put the mushrooms as well.
The random white shit is pearl onions, which he actually uses the correct onions this time, because when he did the beef bourguignon, he went and just bought small onions, not pearl onions. So he actually used the right onions this time.
We call them smunions.
He takes the chicken out?
Yeah, you take the chicken out. Is this where you put the Bermani in? Or Bermani? Bermani. I knew I was going to screw it up, but...
This is where he adds the beer money.
This is where he adds the beer money. And this is to thicken the braising liquid at this point.
And again, you can see here, it looks like Play-Doh. It basically looks like somebody took a lump of softened butter and mixed flour with it. So that's beer money, kids.
This has to go for a little bit longer, and it's going to thicken the sauce. Once that's done, I think you put the chicken back in, and it's Bob's your uncle, essentially. And again, like, this doesn't look bad by Jack's standards. You have to consider who's cooking this meal. Some of the other things that have come out of this kitchen.
He's really paying attention. He's really concentrating on this dish. He's sticking to the recipe. He's not taking his stupid little lazy man shortcuts. This is one of those recipes where it's literally foolproof. It's beyond foolproof. It's Jack-proof, because you have to remove it from the heat to take the chicken out so many times so nothing can overcook, because you're bringing stuff down from temperature and then bringing it back up to temperature. The beer money is going to make the sauce inevitably thick and delicious and luscious.
So he put pieces of the pre-cooked desiccated bacon back in and is now ready to serve it, or show how you would serve it.
The weird part is the extra crunchy bacon is probably the worst part of the dish.
Yeah.
And considering all the different elements here that Jack usually fucks up.
The other thing that's fucked up is the way he pronounced the beer money, but I can't really complain about anything else. I mean, he did a pretty decent job.
This is that scene in the movie where the person realizes they're on an icy mountainous highway, and they grab the wheel of the car, and then they're overcompensating for the turn, and then they turn the wheel the other way and turn the wheel the other way, and the car spins around a little bit, but they land right on that hairpin turn, and they're like, you see the wheels like just dip over the side of the mountain, but they're able to pull it back, and they're like, oh my god, I feel so relieved. Honk. Fifth Schematic episode coming. Blood clot world tour of his arteries. Honk.
But he says, I don't know, this must be early on in the day, because he says that Tammy...
This is the bus teetering on the cliff, and you're like, oh, everything is... And you see the bird land on the hood, and the car just slides forward into the ravine. This is that beautiful moment where Jack actually cooks something that doesn't look horrible.
Tammy isn't home at this point, and he says, oh, Tammy's gonna be really impressed with this meal. And she probably is, because this is the first edible thing that's come out of this kitchen in probably at least a decade.
What time index are we at?
Let's see. 12:37?
Yeah. At 12:37, you get the least egregious Jack taste bite. Jack tastes 3 different elements of this dish, and not a one will make you want to puke on your shoes. That is a goddamn Easter miracle.
Yeah. He
eats chicken, and it's not bad.
He doesn't lick it.
Right.
He doesn't roll his eyes back into his head. It's just a normal bite.
For those of you who watch our YouTube channel, it's Decola, right? Yeah.
It's a normal bite. It's good. It's fine. And he's impressed with himself, and he's really happy. And
it's at this point that you realize that if Jack did all of his videos like this, how kind of boring they would be.
Yeah.
It's unremarkable.
Yeah.
He says it came out like bullets. I still don't know what that means.
Oh, yeah. He says, he's like, this came out like bullet. What does that mean? We don't know. It's one of Jack's strokeisms.
Is it?
And then we're at the end, and this is the end with the,
This is the stolen graphic palooza. He stole the dog, he stole the Bitmoji, he stole the clock, he stole the tile background, he's got the stupid unaligned QR codes.
Yep, that's it. I mean, that's all we got for that. So are we in agreement with the worst part of it was the bacon, or is there something else that somebody else had issue with?
The pronunciation of beer money.
Well, yeah, that.
But yeah, in terms of things he could have fucked up, but didn't. In terms of the least egregious, there was no spurging, there was no yelling at the world, there was no him trying to appeal worldly and sophisticated by claiming the latest QAnon conspiracy was his own idea. There was no political ranting. There was no ranting at other YouTubers.
Oh,
there was no
about stealing recipes. Yeah. Remember, he was yelling about that a couple of videos ago.
There was no pounding of the breast or rending of the garment, saying, "I'm just a home cook, guys. I will make mistakes." As you see the black flames consuming something on his stove behind him, there was none of that. Again, This video was fine.
Yeah,
it's a rarity in Jack world, especially now. This is the scene where the car is just teetering on the edge of the cliff, and you think, I think everything is gonna be okay. But so before the salt-laden butterfly lands on the hood, and you see it thrust forward.
We're almost at the end of Julie and June. I think there's like one more episode.
We have the litter box brownies.
Hang on, I have to bring it up.
This is where we like to imagine our audience sitting there, buying your tickets. Summer is coming, guys. Remember, get your passes us to Smokeback Mountain, Gun Food, and Family.
We have 3 episodes left in Julie and June.
Forget everything we just said.
So, episode 1 was Julia Child's meatloaf. We did the amazing brownie recipe. That was the litter box cake.
Yes, cat turd brownie.
The roast chicken, which wasn't done. Then we took a momentary pause because we had to go over the monster wings.
Oh, yeah.
That was just horrifying. Then we did spaghetti Marco Polo, where he burns half of the ingredients.
Right.
Now we're doing coq au vin, and then we have French onion soup.
Oh, boy.
Cheese souffle, and chicken orange. And that pretty much will round out the season,
Yeah, if I am remembering back upon them, the French onion soup, didn't he do that in like a roasting pan or something weird?
Yeah,
because
it wasn't in like a soup pot. It was soup poured over French bread in a
baking dish.
It was weird. I don't know what that technique was.
I get the feeling that there was a conversation held that morning about, mommy wife, you have to help me pull down all my stock pots. And she's like, yeah, I'm going out.
She's like, nah.
I would rate this video a solid 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 is... When you consider
6.95675 out of 400.
We found the Russian judge.
Yes.
There he is. Yeah, I would say it's 7, 8, somewhere around there for Jack standards.
Right.
I mean...
I would have added a point if you would have had beef rib.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm sure they're somewhere else in the kitchen hiding.
The butter gnomes are out.
And the butter gnomes are out. No, this is a new video. It went to the next one, but 3 more episodes and we're done with this. Thank God. We can move on with our lives.
This was the series that predated Comfort Dudes month.
Yes, so we got to go back and look at some of that Comfort Dudes terrible cooking.
Right.
Do you remember the lasagna? Oh my God.
Oh. And then we had freeze-dried September.
Freeze-dried September. Nobody liked that. And
Nobody liked that.
He gave up on it halfway through.
Right.
Yes.
He didn't even freeze-dry all the elements for that poor soldier boy.
Yeah.
And then what happened? What closed out 2022? Did he do Christmas? Did he do any Christmas things?
I don't think he did.
Yeah, I feel like it drifted there for a little bit, and then January he started coming back, and then he hit the monster wings, and then, well, the monster wings hit him.
Yeah. They hit back. Yeah, harder. So.
Like a Gojira!
Yeah, I can't remember anything from like when November happened, because that's when then he was sending the stuff to the special gentleman. Then he had the health incident.
Right.
And then there was like really
I
nothing
remember the Jack on the Go at the time. And then there was, well, don't forget, that was also the time he was restarting the F as in Frank podcast.
Oh,
so we were mostly fixated on the turnstile audio nonsense.
Oh, yeah. That was... Yeah, but there was nothing that sticks out as a video that was like really exciting during December to the beginning of January.
Right.
Like, there was nothing...
Not like a few Christmases ago when we got Christmas crack and Christmas soup. Remember when he decided to turn 2 pounds of Velveeta into some kind of pasta soup?
Oh, and
you still have nightmares?
and
I do.
The Tiny Tim Christmas a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
The last thing he made in December was being off.
Oh well, that's.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I don't. It must have been like just a basic.
He also made a cranberry salt.
Oh yeah, that was horrible.
But that was like more. It's more like combining.
And that was condiments with Jack.
Yeah, it was nothing remarkable there going on. But
I think looking back on it, I think you begin like, especially after the little health scare in November, I think it really knocked the wind out of his sails, and he was kind of reeling from that.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like got his energy back after Christmas. Is like, okay, new year, new quarter, got to make an effort, guys. Let's make these monster wings.
Whee! Splat. I think that's it for this episode.
I think so.
So don't forget, like and subscribe, share with your friends, horrify your relatives, your in-laws, everything. Pink Chicken and the Lazy Man.
If you like us, share us with your friends. If you don't, share us with your enemies.
Yeah, there you go. We're
Creepy
on Twitter,
guy at work who always goes for the free lunch first, like 5 minutes ahead of everybody, so he gets an extra helping.
Facebook, Twitter, Discord, YouTube. We don't have a Pinterest, but we could if you think that would help us. I don't know, but
keep watching our YouTube's channels. We're gonna have more of the AI generated Jack content, because if he's not gonna make, if we can't have real Jack, we'll have virtual Jack.
Yeah, I like that idea. All right.
Maybe some music videos that have been oft promised will be appearing.
Yeah, that would be nice. So
maybe some on location audio from a certain professional trade show. Who knows?
Ooh. All right.
The air is redolent with promise and hope.
I think lay us out, me.
Thank you for joining us, folks. And don't forget to join us next time on
Pink Chicken and the Lazy Man.
And Pink Chickadee.
Yeah. Woo.